Yeah, we will have a panel discussion, but I think we have to wait a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because our participants are enjoying their coffee. So could you please wait for them a little bit? Thank you. So, so maybe this is in Bangkok, but maybe in Japan, everybody ready, right?
No, we say this is a coffee break.
Oh, coffee break.
Yeah, break a bit more.
Okay, thank you. I understand. A bodyguard.
Thank you so much.
How about me? Actor, right? Thank you.
So the next session will be about many topics, right?
Yeah.
As I can see here, it's about smart sharing city. Yeah, we're gonna about smart sharing. Disaster risk reductions also. Pathway towards decarbonization. Yeah, from the case from Japan, JTTRI will show the case, and then last will be about decarbonization, and we have one honorable speaker from online Zoom.
Yeah, he's from UNESCO, right?
Okay.
Wow, we have very well-known speaker. For example, Professor MORIMOTO from Waseda University. Waseda University is very popular private university in Japan. And we also have a professor from Keio University. Oh,
Keio.
famous university.
ICHINOSE, Professor Tomita.
And also Mr. Tomita from Transport and Tourism Research Institute of Japan. So I think everybody ready now? Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think up next that it is a panel discussion that many of you have been eagerly anticipating. Our panelists are here from different corners of the world, or maybe Japan and Thailand. We share their unique perspectives on transforming towards decarbonization, safety, and sustainability in transportation in Thailand. Let me introduce our speakers. Firstly, I would like to introduce Professor Dr. Akinori Morimoto from Faculty of Science and Engineering, School of Creative Science and Engineering, Waseda University, Japan. Please.
And second will be the Professor Dr. Tomohiro ICHINOSE, the Dean of Faculty of Environment and Information Studies, Keio University, Japan.
And next we have Mr. Akihiro Tomita. He is the Executive Director and Senior Research Fellow, Japan Transportation and Tourism Research Institute. Mr. Tomita, please.
And the last honorable speaker will be Dr. Madan B. Ragmi, the Chief of Transport Research and Policy Section from UNSCAPE. He will join us in online.
Yeah. And I would like to welcome our moderator, Admiral Dr. Samai Chai-in from Royal Thai Navy and ATRANS board member. So I will give the floor to our moderator, Dr. Samai, please. Thank you.
Sawadee krab. We have an interesting morning today. We have a lot of, I would say, both academic and also some practical discussion to look into in this session. The topic is, of course, transformation towards decarbonization, safety and sustainability in transportation. As everyone will know, some of you landed in Bangkok this morning or late last night. Some of you might have not been here for quite some time. Bangkok is now changed, I think, with our transportation system. Thanks a lot to the help from our Japanese industry, introducing a lot of new things to Thailand. And of course, the help from other international community as well. Otherwise, Bangkok would be packed jam with traffic. You might be able to see that it is a lot better now. Well, in certain areas it's better. In some bottleneck or some construction area, we still have a problem. But of course, we export our traffic jam to the provincial cities, like the EEC corridor that our chairman mentioned this morning. If you travel east in the morning and travel back from the east in the evening, you get a lot of traffic jams along our motorways. And at least you don't get stuck in Bangkok so much anymore. But today will be different though, because from the forecast, it will be very heavy rainfall in the afternoon. And in Bangkok, we normally have what we call after-work rainfall. So everyone will get wet, and the traffic will grind to a halt. And every major intersections will be jammed with cars and motorcycles. And of course, the flood is not so bad anymore, because our new governor is, of course, has been involved a lot with traffic planning, and he is also an engineer, civil engineer by training, so he helps a lot with that. But whether we will see a bad traffic year in the raining season is still in question, because the weather this year in Thailand, we are going through a very bad El Nino year. The rain hasn't come much, especially in the central plain of Thailand. So we might have a problem in terms of crop production, in terms of rice production this year. So anyone who have rice for your daily consumption, you have to be beware of that. That this year the rice can be expensive, and with the problem, of course, in Europe, I think the food crop will have a lot of impact this year. Still, the farmer in Thailand will not be able to, even though the price might be high, they wouldn't have much product to sell anyway. So they will still remain struggling in the society. But we're looking forward, of course. We are at a very difficult and important juncture in, I would say, in city development, in social development, and also in terms of academic thinking. We want to see how we can cope with climate change, how we can cope with the new structure of society. One of our distinguished speakers will be talking about depopulation. That's a very interesting subject. Professor Morimoto also will be giving us his view on city planning. I think this is very important. And also, Mr. Tomita will touch upon the option for aviation decarbonization for the future. And of course, the last speaker who will be joining us from online, Dr. Madan Rekmi from UNSCAP in Bangkok office, will join us and will be giving us a broad overview of what we are going through and what we could expect to see in the next few years, see where we can go and what we can do, and what is the current status of our transportation carbon emission and the strategy forward. I would like to invite each speaker for a 15 to 20 minutes presentation first, and then we can have a discussion afterward. For our Thai participant, if you are not comfortable to speak, to ask in English, you can ask in Japanese. If Japanese is not your tongue, neither can I speak Japanese. You can also ask in Thai. I'll try my best to translate that to our panelists. Well, I'd like to first invite Professor Morimoto. I have to change a bit. He's now serving as the president of the City Planning Institute of Japan, and also managing director of the Japan Research Center for Transport Policy. I think he has a very important issue for us to follow.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. And anyways, which is better to hear and yeah, okay. So, good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to make the presentations about the city planning, especially that today there is a mention about smart sharing cities. I think many few people know this word. Just talking about for the sustainable societies. First of all, I'd like to a little bit mention about the Japanese situation, especially focus on the populations. For the long term, our population is gradually increased in the long terms, and 100 years ago, Japanese population is jumping naps, and right now is almost at the top of the mountains. And in accuracy, so 2008, top of the total population in Japan, 128 millions. And then dramatically jumping and dropping down. And what happens in the cities, not only the big cities, but also the local city in Japan, many problems. One of them is a vacant house, vacant land. This figure shows you is a local cities. 500,000 people living in the local hub cities, 100 kilometers north of the Tokyo. And that point is a vacant house. Counting the vacant house is up to the, almost 50%. Many vacant houses. That is not only the very specific cities. Many cities is worrying about is a vacant house. And also the cities is worrying about is maintenance costs for the infrastructure is so expensive ones. And anyways, decline the city centers. Big shopping centers appeared, especially the suburban areas. People prefer to go to the suburban area to buy something in the weekend. Nobody go to the city centers. It's a lack of the city centers. And also the local government is worrying about so financial problems. Taxpayers will be reducing year by years. So that's why appropriate planning is especially required in Japan to cope with depopulation societies. And the Japanese government strongly recommending the compact city to cope with the depopulation society. This figures is easy to understand what is a compact cities. Especially is a focus on the stations. Almost 100 years ago, the Meiji era, making railway stations, railway networks, and easy to go with railways. If you go to the Japan, that's why. And this graph shows you the compact city policies. Starting from the 2014, I counted is how many cities. 246 in 2018. Now is 675. So organization was enacted the compact city policy. So that is facing the big problems, especially in terms of the city plannings. Key word is the compact and network cities. And also the smart cities and the different solutions. Using these technologies, information and communication technology given us is many solutions to reduce congestion, to reduce disasters and safety, the security issues, and to cope with these good natures. Anyways, using the high technologies, giving us some better futures. And then we have the two main concepts. One city is a compact cities to cope with depopulation societies, sustainable cities. And another solution using the high technology, using the informations, communication technology, to compare the two concepts. Just worrying about the difference between the two concepts. One concept is especially focused on the compact cities, focused on the space. You can see it because it's a space can be seen. And the main principle is the shrinkings. And with the long terms, especially based on the city's government. Another solution in smart cities is a focus on the information. That's why we cannot see this smart city directly by your eyes. And the main principle is expanding with the technologies. They communicate to each other. It's a big data. And especially it's mainly focused on the private companies. Very short times. Try to find out these good solutions. So, what do you think? The two concepts, is it similar or different ones? We are really worrying about the two concepts. That's why today we'd like to explain about the smart sharing cities. Both of the concepts is connected with together, especially focused on the human activities. And the principle is moderation. Our definition of the smart sharing city, the city that efficiently and jointly use the non-operatingness to realize the sustainable societies. That is smart sharing cities. Okay, so, and also after the COVID-19, so many years we are suffering from these COVID-19. The Japanese government recommend these new solutions that is direction of the city planning in the wake of the new corona crisis. You can see waterfronts, open space, greenways. Many of the strategy was already proposed in Japan. But that is a chance to introduce the greenery cities, water cities based on the digital platforms. Digital platform based on smart cities. And, okay, so that is the conceptual figures. We have these two main strategies. One strategy is based on the walkable cities. You can see is inside the red ones. If you purchase is housing inside the red ones, you can move by your foot. Ride on the public transportation, like LRT, BRT, the new transportations. Let's enjoy the walkable cities. But unfortunately, most of the people, especially the local city, they live in the suburban areas. Another solution is low-density areas. Best ways using these bicycles. And maybe some of the aged person cannot ride on the other bicycles. That is autonomous car, automated car is another solution. And which place do you live in? If the many people prefer to live in the city centers around the walkable areas, Japanese cities are moved to gradually go to the compact cities. But unfortunately, the many people prefer to suburban areas using the autonomous cars. We cannot make it the compact cities. That is two directions which is better. So, I'll show you examples. Utsunomiya City. A long time. I live in the Utsunomiya cities. 500,000 the people to Utsunomiya City, local cities. 100 kilometers north of the Tokyo. But don't worry, just using the Shinkansen, super express trains from the Tokyo to the Utsunomiya is almost 50 minutes. So, left one is the concept of the network type of compact cities. And the local government of the Utsunomiya is just proposes urban transportation strategy. So now we are making it's kind of the compact network cities. And light one is Japan first all new light rail transit. Hopefully opened in August 2023, this year. And also we enacted the smart city promotion plans. Not only focus on the mobility systems, but also we are focused on the energy systems. Smart hospitalities is many solutions, and combined with the compact city policy and the smart city policies. Okay, so this one is a new type of the, public transportations. Focus on the streetcar. It's amazing. 75 years ago, is last streetcar was opened in Japan after the World War II, yes. And early conduction from the 2018 to 2023, last week is just opened. I just waiting so many times, more than the 30 years. Because I was a professor of the Utsunomiya University 10 years ago. That's why I'm belonging to the committee of the Utsunomiya cities. You can see this is a new transportation and also the transit-oriented development around the stations. That is two strategies. The land use strategy is based on the stations and new transportations. And of course, using the digital data, getting the smartphone data, we are capturing how many people and live in there. Okay, so right one is holidays, and left one is weekdays, and starting to the midnight to the morning. And captured. The male, the female, the aged, compensated. That is, it takes a long times. That's why we're getting the real data, dynamic data, and catching up. What the city is moving on. Also, in the future, focus on today's topics is the net zero. So decarbon societies. Our laboratory is focused on the environmental situation in the 2018. Business as usual case, 1,244 tons. But fortunately, policies, smart city and the compact city policies will be succeed. CO2 emissions will be reduced almost 30%. That is a challenging issues. Okay, so that is the last slide. Let's imagine the future in the Utsunomiya cities. If you ride on the back, sometimes it's okay, focus on the every day, starting to the house, to ride on the private car, and go to the park of life system around the station, and transfer to the new tram system. And just using the smart car. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Morimoto. I think you present a very interesting concept for the future. We'll come back. We have a lot of questions to ask you, and I'm sure the participant would like to ask some thought-provoking questions later. Now I invite Professor ICHINOSE from Keio University to talk to us about the risk reduction of the transportation infrastructure. I think we have some very important lesson to learn here. Thailand, we have been going through quite a lot of big emergency situation in the past. I haven't seen, well, my personal experience, I haven't seen any proper paper conducted on those yet. So you come back to us with this. We would be very welcome to have a look and follow this study that you have conducted. Please, if you are comfortable here or either there, please. ก็อันนี้พูดเป็นไทยนิดนึงนะครับผมอยากจะบ่นนิดนึงว่าเราเนี่ยผ่านทั้งสึนามิมาผ่านทั้งน้ำท่วมใหญ่ของกรุงเทพมหานครมาเนี่ยยังไม่มีใครมาทำเรื่องความเสี่ยงให้เราเลยฝากอาจารย์จำนงด้วยนะผมรู้ว่าพี่เกษียณแล้วแต่ว่าเผื่อจะไปยุลูกศิษย์ลูกหาช่วยกันทำหน่อยทำเปเปอร์มาเป๊ะๆกันหน่อยครับ Please, Professor.
Thank you very much. So your introduction. So now I'm talking about disaster of the transport infrastructure. Oh. Okay. So as you know, in Japan, we have many types of disaster, and also, I showed some example. Then you should know the 2011, then we have huge disaster that caused by the earthquake and tsunami. But actually, maybe you don't know that today is a really important memorial day in Japan. Then 100 years ago, we had a huge earthquake in Tokyo. Then at the time, then more than 100,000 people died or were missing. Then that is really tragedy at the time. Then that is maybe the Taisho era. But actually the earthquake, I don't know, the Thailand, do you have earthquake? Not so. Do you have earthquakes? Yeah, maybe small one. But in Japan, so many times we experienced the huge earthquake. But anyway, this is, oops, how can I, pointer works? Oops. I don't know how it works, but anyway. Then, first one, that is 2011. The location is Kesenuma City, south part of Kesenuma City. You can see that is a railway. So Kesenuma line, totally destroyed by tsunami. Then that is maybe, I guess, 8 meters or 10 meters high. But at the time we had a huge tsunami, then up to 12 or 11 or like that. And also 2016, then we had earthquake in Kyushu Island, the south part of Japan. Then you can see here that is landslide caused by earthquakes. Then here, actually, the landslide damaged the national road and also railway. And the bottom left side, that is 2019, the typhoon and also heavy rain. Then I took this picture in Nagano Prefecture, but at that time, the whole of East Japan totally damaged by the typhoon. And you can see here that is a local railway also damaged by the flooding. Then last one, 2020, that is also in Kyushu area. Maybe that was beginning of July, then not by typhoon, but as you know, we have a rainy season from June to July. Then we had heavy rain and flooding caused. Then also that is a local railway that damaged by the flooding. So today I mainly talk about the impact of the 2011 earthquake and the tsunami. And you can see here the epicenter that located north part of Japan, then in the Ocean Pacific. Then that is March 11th. Then magnitude 9.0 to 9.1, the earthquake in the Pacific. Then the impact, for example, the most highway from Tohoku to Kanto were closed, but actually the most were restored within a week. Yeah, that is really Japanese technology, I think. Then most railways were out of service and some were severely damaged, including the Tohoku Shinkansen. Maybe the 1 month or 1.5 months, the Tohoku Shinkansen was closed. Then it took from a few to the 10 years to restore the small rail lines. The two rail lines, I will later show, the two rail lines that have been converted to BRT. Okay, then, I will explain some example. Then, I show the location of in Miyagi Prefecture. Then Sendai is the capital city of Miyagi Prefecture. Then Kesenuma City is located in the north end of Miyagi Prefecture. You can see. Then this is an off-nut line. Then also totally damaged by tsunami. Oops. Okay, then next one, and actually the Kesenuma City, that there is a small island, then east part of Kesenuma City. Then there was connection by ferry, but you can see the ferry moved into land by the tsunami. So this is not Ishinomaki, but Ishinomaki line, the Higashi Matsushima City, a little closer to Sendai City. Then you can see here, this train actually was safe by tsunami, but the line was most line of the destroyed by the tsunami. So then actually from Ishinomaki to the Kesenuma City, this area belonged to Sanrik coastal area. Then actually this Sanrik coast is a really tsunami-prone area. Then I show the history. Then you can see here, for example, the top left. Then there was tsunami. That tsunami from Chile. Then in 1960, that is the Chile tsunami. And also in Showa era, then we had huge tsunami. That is Showa Sanrik tsunami in 1933. And also, then more than 100 years ago, we had huge tsunami in this area, the Meiji Sanrik tsunami in 1896. That was so severe, the tsunami, then at that time, more than 20,000 people died. And also in Edo era, Ansei Hachinohe-oki tsunami in 1856. Then actually we had tsunami every 30 or 60 years. And also more than 1,000 years ago, then 869, that was a really huge one. Then maybe at the time the magnitude was 9.0 or 9.1. Okay, then, yes. Also, this is the damage of Kesenuma City. That is just one example. Actually, more than 1,000 people died or are still missing. More than 200 people still missing. Then also, more than 100 people died after the earthquake and the tsunami. Then it means disease or also including suicide. Then also the 15,000 buildings collapsed. Then about 9,500 families are affected. Then Kesenuma City lost half of its GRP. But actually, I already said the Sanrik area, the tsunami-prone area. Then I showed the old topographic map. Then you can see the map almost 100 years ago. Then also you can see blue line. That was a tsunami-affected area then by the 2011 Tohoku disaster. Then also I showed the old photograph taken in 1930. Then actually, such a coastal area in Kesenuma City, the main land use was rice paddy, not so urban land use. Then I show a little old aerial photograph in 2001, then before the tsunami. Then black and white, but maybe you can identify that I show that is Kesenuma Bay, and you can see the Minami Kesenuma, that is the central bottom, and upper one, the Shishiori area. Then you can see the totally urbanized. Then I show that it's analysis about land use change. Then so you can see 1913. Then, 100 years ago, then you can see light blue color show the rice paddy. Then at that time, then mainly in the lowland, then rice paddy the domain. And also the red color means the urban land use. Then you can see very small area that there are at the time. Then 1963, that is just after World War II. But mainly in lowland, then dominated by the rice paddy. But you can see, it doesn't work. Okay, but red area were a little expanded. That is urbanized. Oops. Okay, then next one, 1981. Then, as you know, that is just after our Japanese economic growth. And you can see that in lowland, totally covered by red area. Then, that is by urbanization. And 2011, just before the earthquake, then you can see still the urban area, the spread. So I show the graph. Then land use change for 100 years. Then you can see light blue color, that at that time, half of lowland, then dominated by the rice paddies, but the rice paddies reduced to the 80%. On the other hand, then urban land use, then 100 years ago, urban land use were really limited, but the land use spread the more than 75%. The Morimoto sensei talked about the depopulation problem in Japan, but such the local city that already had a depopulation from 1980. And you can see here that Kesenama city had most population than 1980. Then after that, the city had a depopulation. But still, the urban area was spread. So that you can see here that between the 1981 to the 2011, just before the Tohoku earthquake, then actually such the exposure than in lowland, then Kesenama city actually is a tsunami-prone area, then maybe we should not develop the urban area in lowland. Okay, then after the Tohoku earthquake, the Japanese government set 2 tsunami level. Then, one is, you can see here, the tsunami level which caused every some decade and we have to prevent. That is one level. The second one, the tsunami which caused every 1,000 years, maybe we cannot prevent but reduce the damage. So then I have to wrap up. So that after that, that is a transportation infrastructure reconstruction policy in sandy coastal area. Then areas severely damaged by the tsunami were either raised and uninhabited or seawall were constructed. Then railways and major roads were to be rebuilt to a height not affected by a tsunami. Then that is a level 1 tsunami, it means. Then a new highway was built inland, which were resilient to disaster. Then a bridge was built to connect remote island to the mainland instead of a ferry. Then a part of Ofunato and the Kesenama line was rebuilt as BRT. Then you can see here that some example that is Minami Sanrik town, the south part from the Kesenama city. Then you can see that is a part of town hall that totally damaged by tsunami. Then you can see that is original ground level. Then at the time, tsunami go up to the rooftop. Then actually maybe 8 or 9 people survived on the rooftop. Okay, that is a little older, maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago. That is a highway. This is a city center of Kesenama city. That you can see that it rebuilt seawall, and also the bridge under construction, but already that is finished. Then this is a highway. Also, this is BRT. Actually, the BRT has special railroad, but this is in the city town center of Minami Sanrik town. Then it goes something like a normal bus. But next one, this is old Kesenama line bridge. Then still the BRT use this bridge. Okay. And I showed this is Kesenuma station than located in the city center, but a little higher ground. Then you can see tourists or people then can change BLT to train or train to BLT, this station. Okay, this is the last one, the examples. This is the south part of Kesenuma city. You can see here that is actually before the tsunami, there is a railway along the coast, the Kesenuma line, and also that is a national level road, then also along the coast. Then at first, the Japanese government had an idea, then so they wanted to build seawall along the coast, and inland, so they rebuilt the national road. But then actually this area, there was a really nice sandy beach. Then local people so disagree with the idea by the Japanese government. Then so Japanese government so changed the mind. Then so national so road setback in the inland, and also then they built a dike then along the coast, but not on the sandy beach, but a little inland. Then on the dike, then rebuild the national road. That is really the good design or a good concept for keep the original, the natural sandy beach. Okay, so that is so disaster resilient transportation infrastructure. Then today, so mainly I talked about so Tohoku disaster, but in the near future, then we have the climate change. Then we should have so much heavy rain, or also we will expect more flooding. Then disaster risk reduction, then especially the exposure must be important. Then transportation, because of time up, or I don't know. So that is so my final slide. Okay, then transportation infrastructure is crucial in the case of disaster. Then maintaining public transport in rural area is a major challenge due to the decline in the aging population. And actually, the 9 railway line are out of service due to the natural disaster in the current situation. Then ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction, then it's called ECO-DRR, that will provide to co-benefit of climate change adaptation and biodiversity conservation. That is, I showed the last example, the coastal area. That is maybe should be a good idea for in the future. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor ICHINOSE, for a very interesting paper. And we'll now turn to our next speaker, who has Mr. Tomita Akihiro, who prior to joining the Japan Transport and Tourism Research Institute, he worked in the public sector, in the National Secretariat, as well as from the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport and Tourism. He'll be presenting on the issue of decarbonization of aviation fuels. Please.
Such a wonderful occasion to make a presentation. My name is Akihiro Tomita. I'm a researcher, senior research fellow, Japan Transport and Tourism Institute. First, let me introduce my institution. Could you go to the next page? Yeah, Japan Transport Tourism Research Institute. I'm from ASEAN Indian Regional Office. It was called JTTRI-AIRO, JTTRI-AIRO, non-profit and independent organization established in Bangkok 2 years ago, supported by Nippon Foundation. And we have 4 duties. 1 is research survey, 2 holding seminar, symposium, 3 information dissemination provision, and 4th, networking. This is an example of networking. We pay a courtesy call to Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Finance, and Ministry of Tourism and Sports. Actually, our office covers all ASEAN and South Asian regions. And Japan, this is an example of activities. First is a logistics symposium, part 2. The title is aiming for advanced logistics in Thailand. We organized this symposium 2 months ago. 2 months ago, we had this symposium. And tourism symposium, the title is Shifting Tourism for the Post-Pandemic Era. This was held in March this year. We are doing this kind of activities, and today I would like to introduce pathway towards decarbonization in Japan's aviation sector. This is a JTTRI's group research program from 2020 to 2022. Actually, as the moderator introduced me, I'm from the government sector. I was working for I was joined the Ministry of Transport, now called MLIT Japan, 20 years ago. But now I joined this Japan JTTRI last month. And why did I pick up this topic? This research is very impressive to the government of Japan. Why? This is because this research shows statistics and scenarios and numbers. They are very persuasive to the Japanese government. So that's why I pick up these topics. Maybe some years ago, a famous Swedish girl blamed aviation as a flight shame. Did you remember? Yeah, under such a negative circumstance on aviation sector, ICAO decided the global aspirational goals 2020-2022. This is decided by a General Assembly of ICAO. There are 2 important things. One is until 2035, no increase of CO2 emission from international aviation from 85% of CO2 emission in 2019. And second, by 2050, achieving carbon neutrality. So, therefore, Japanese international aviation sector should act more quickly and strongly towards decarbonization. So the question is it possible for Japan's aviation sector to achieve ICAO's goal? What is the potential for reducing and offsetting CO2 emission in Japan by introduction of new aviation technologies, operational improvements, leveraging of SAF, I will mention later, carbon credit? If these potentials are not enough, what additional efforts are required to close the gap and ensure that targets are achieved? So we made 9 scenarios. These are scenarios for estimating potential reduction and residual of CO2 emissions. So we have 3 technology scenarios and 1 operation scenario and 3 fuel scenarios. So aviation technology, T1 is advanced tube and wing, T2 advanced concept aircraft, T3 advanced concept aircraft, and electric or hydrogen aircraft. T1 is most conservative, T2 moderate, T3 most ambitious. And operational technology, we have only 1 scenario because the government of Japan already decided its ambitious scenario. And fuel, we also have 3 scenarios: F1 conservative, F2 medium, F3 ambitious. Based on these 9 scenarios, simulations on the following 3 items were carried out to determine the potential reduction of GHG gas emission, amount of CO2 emission and residual, CO2 residual compared to BAU, CO2 residual compared to 2019 level. So this is a CO2 reduction by aviation technology. Now, as I said, we have 3 scenarios. T1, Advanced Tube and Wing Aircraft, ATW. T2, Advanced Concept Aircraft, ACA, Drop-in Fuel, Blended Wing Body Aircraft. T3, Advanced Concept Aircraft, Non-Drop-in Fuel Electric Aircraft, Hydrogen Aircraft. So, can I point out this? Yeah, as I maybe you can see the widely ACA indication of early entry into service. This is T1 is used only ATW T1 aircrafts, and T2 we can now use ACA T2, and T3 now it's ACA T3. So ACA T2 or ACA T3 is more energy efficient aircrafts than the ATW. So we calculate this CO2 reduction volume by applying new technologies to the fleet composition of Japan Airlines in 2019. And this is a fuel scenario, CO2 reduction by sustainable aviation fuel. This is the graph shows this is a scale is 10,000 kiloliter per year, and jet fuel supply volume in Japan 2019 it's 1315. This is 13 million kiloliter per year. And F1 scenario is fuel scenario 1. Only unused materials are assigned to SAF. The result is 706. So there are large gap. And F2 currently used material with available supply sources, including power generation, are assigned to SAF in addition to unused materials. Now we can use get 948 to 1085. Still we have a gap. F3 scenario, the full potential is allocated to SAF. So now we have 1313, 13 million. Now the gap is now closed. So if potential in Japan is allocated to SAF, it could fulfill the fuel supply volume in Japan 2019. Yeah, but this is just as of 2019. As of 2050, the requirement of SAF is estimated 23 million. So we still have a gap. So the important thing, what should we do? So this shows that we need to work quickly to secure large volume of materials. And second, develop production capacity. And third, import SAF from overseas. Or develop further technological improvement. This is a result of estimated residual CO2 emission by scenarios. Sorry, it's very small. The left one is CO2 emission and residual. Center CO2 residual compared to baseline, and right is a CO2 residual compared to 2019. So, as the first residual CO2 emission from international aviation sector in Japan, it's 104 to 114 in 2030, and 73 to 112 in 2035, 23 to 106 in 2050. This is red boxed. So they are all exceeds 85% of 2019 levels. I make it larger. This is a large version, estimated CO2 reduction emission by scenarios. So CO2 emission in 2030 exceeds 85% of 2019 level in all scenarios. And in 2035, only scenario with F3. So T1 F3, T2 F3, T3 F3, we can achieve the target. But still, please look at the 2050 and T3 F3. It's almost 23%. 23% remains. So this shows it's very difficult we can achieve the carbon neutral in 2050. So conclusion from this scenario, the most ambitious scenario, T3 F3, is the most desirable to achieve carbon neutrality in 2050 in Japanese aviation sector. But on the other hand, since the feasibility of T3, which assumes aviation technology such as non-drop-in fuel, hydrogen aircraft, and electric aircraft, has many challenges. As later I mentioned the challenges. So T2 F3 scenario should also be considered. And scenario estimation results shows that even with the most ambitious T3 F3 scenario for Japan, CO2 remains above the CORSIA baseline from an early stage. So we need to assume the remaining CO2 emissions will be needed to be offset by credit from the first stage of the CORSIA in Japan. So this is issue to be solved and implication. First, aviation technology. So contributions from Japan, Japanese public and private organization in development of key technologies. So core technologies for fuel efficiency, low carbon high efficiency, hybrid electric propulsion technology, hydrogen fuel cell and hydrogen gas turbine technology. But we still need to, these issues, I mentioned these others, so we need to develop technological and safety criteria and international standards. When we introduce new technologies, we need to technology and safety criteria and also international standards. And also, we need to develop human resources for operation and maintenance of new aircraft technologies. This is issues and be solved implication about the fuels. So to achieve national targets of replacing 10% of all aviation fuels with SAF by 2030, and development of DAC means direct air capture-based SAF from 2030. So to achieve F3 scenario, it is necessary to procure raw material for SAF, develop SAF manufacturing technology. So we need to get certification as CORSIA eligible fuels. So build the SAF supply chains, ASTM certification. ASTM means American Society for Testing of Materials, international certification. And reduction of various fuel costs through innovation and diffusion. And procure renewable energy, electricity, and hydrogen required for fuel production. So the conclusion. As I said, this research is very impressive because this shows statistics, numbers. And so first, for SAF, the amount of them, we show the numbers and results. In the second, we show the long-term and mid-term, short-term scenarios. And so this research indicates an urgent need to establish a domestic SAF supply chain and necessary measures for the purpose, and cultivated stakeholders' recognition of this matter and cross-sector collaborations. And good news is, based on these results, public and private working group on establishment of supply chain for SAF was established. So the members are relevant ministries and industries and fuel industries. And they are now doing research about production, transportation, and certification. So today I would like to talk about how difficult to achieve the carbon neutrality in Japan, especially in the aviation sector, 2050. And this is a kind of a wake-up call for the Japanese government to take action to new policies. If we continue the same policy as before, it is difficult to achieve the carbon neutrality 2050. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tomita, for the your prediction for the future looks very challenging, especially for the aviation sector. I think our participant in the room, you have some question later. I will now turn to our last speaker of this session. I think Dr. Madan Rakmi is online. He works with the United Nations ESCAP in Bangkok on sustainable mobility, transport, and climate change. I think he's a very, very well-known figure on the transport policies. Welcome, Dr. Madan Rakmi. You can
thank you for the introduction.
The microphone now. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very loud and clear.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. And then
I think our 6G in Bangkok is in a traffic jam also. Maybe 4.5G.
Thank you. I think that I heard, we heard actually of the.
It is a bit, the connection is a bit unstable at the moment. Dr. Rakmi, can you start again?
Yeah, okay, let me try. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, should I go ahead?
Please go ahead, Dr. Rakmi.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And then actually, I like to be there, but due to another commitment, so I'm just presenting online. And thank you for the introduction as well. So we have heard that I think more research and the presentation more focusing on Japan. I think two cases, smart city and disaster reduction. And then third one is very important area of the aviation, actually the decarbonization aviation. So my topics is slightly different. I think they are on the same decarbonization and sustainability. Maybe try to see that how I think what are the global perspective as well as how the region is doing in terms of the decarbonizing transport, as well as I'll try to focus a little bit more on the Thailand transport sector. Thank you very much. So, as you already said that, okay, I work for the UN, and this our actually main activity is intergovernmental collaboration for the sustainable worlds, and then try to achieve the sustainable development goal. We do this thing through the research as well as the providing policy and capacity support to the countries. So just looking at this chart, actually, this is some of the sustainable development goals which are related to directly or indirectly related to the transport. Most important is the energy, 7, 9 on the infrastructure, 11 on the cities, as well as the 13 on the climate change. In terms of the global process, actually, there are, every year, the global leaders and the leaders from the country go to the UN headquarters and discuss about what is the progress on the overall SDGs. And then there is a at the regional level, at the Bangkok, and then national level. And this is done through the voluntary national review and how actually the countries are progressing on the achievement that SDGs related to the transport. At New York, as I mentioned earlier, there is a high-level political forum every year held, I think, sometime in June, July. And at ISCAP, we have this Asia-Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development around March, April, I think, before our annual commission session. And then, and in addition to the SDG Sustainable Development Goal commitment, that is actually the more important is the Paris Agreement, which the many countries has, I think the more than 190 countries has subscribed to. Basically, this is alarming challenges to reduce or maybe limit the growth of temperature to keep to less than 1.5 degree. And then every year also, I think there is a conference of party. I think the one held earlier in the 2022 in Egypt. Actually, there has been a renewed commitment to accelerated greenhouse gas emission. And then there was the most discussion and commitment on the transition to electric mobility, shift to renewable energy. And then actually the countries, I think every 5 years, they submit this NDCs, nationally determined contribution, which have two components actually, unconditional and conditional target, which the countries should meet. But looking at the scenario, actually progress on the Asia Pacific region, I think except in the few areas, is not really very encouraging. Just like in the energy sector, we have really made a very good progress, and in terms of the infrastructure development. But on the climate change, we have not made very good progress. If we actually continue with the same trend, it may take some time, maybe 2042, to achieve all the sustainable development goals in the Asia Pacific region. And then now coming to the transport sector, actually, there is really the very different type and structure of the public transport in the Asia Pacific region. I think we heard earlier from our expert from Japan. I think that we heard about the BRT and some, the public transport. So in Asia, we see different type, actually, the metro, subway, urban rail, as a bus rapid transit, as well as the bus public transport system. And the issue, challenge for many Asian countries is that still we use very high private vehicle, and then the more share of the public transport is low. And then if you look at the South Asia and Southeast Asia, the share of the 2 and the 3-wheeler actually is very high. I'll elaborate on the later cases. And then there are, supplementing or complementing, this public transport system. We see the paratransit system, just like the Samai or even motorbike taxi in Bangkok and Angkot in Indonesia. So this actually supports a public transport system. And then after the tsunami, we have, much increase in the people walking and cycling also. That is the active mobility. So if we try to say that which are the good public transport system, maybe the Tokyo comes first, Tokyo, Hong Kong, China, Singapore, or Seoul. And then now in the trend of the decarbonization, China actually is leading in terms of the transition to the electric mobility. And then there are really the many public transport systems as well as the bus rapid transit system being built in many Chinese and Indian cities, including other Asia Pacific cities. And then one most important thing for the cities, actually, they try to aspire to look at the high-end solution like the metro or elevated BRT or BTS. But again, actually, this is investment. Still, we haven't seen that there is a growth of ridership on the public transport system. And then after now we have a new technology, so we have a ride hailing like the Uber, and the micro-mobility system are also emerging. So as I said earlier, actually, in terms of the reduction of the emission, actually, the last decade, there was a 36% growth on the transport emission in the Asia Pacific. You can see on the chart here. And if you look, we look at the, context of the, freight and passenger. So the freight transport actually account for about 42% of the emission, and passenger is 58%. We heard earlier presentation from air transport sector. Actually, for the decarbonization, freight transport, air transport, and maritime transport, actually these are really the very challenging and difficult area to address. But there have been many efforts in the area of the public transport. So again, actually, you heard that the traffic congestions. So the Bangkok are more than 30% of the congestions. It shows the many Indian cities have, just like New Delhi, Bengaluru, Mumbai, have a traffic congestion in the cities. I mentioned earlier the paratransit. They are kind of the informal transports. And there is really the very good prevalence in the many Asian cities. This just shows some statistics from some selected cities. There you can see in the Dhaka and Khulna, we are in Bangladesh. Actually, they carry about 54 to 58%. Even the Jakarta, it is really very important, the anchored, that kind of the minibus that supplement the public transport system around 50%. And the Bangkok also, Song Tao and other form of paratransit also is really popular. And then it slide shows the other form of the data from other cities as well. I mentioned earlier this Southeast and the South Asia has a really the high share of the 2 and 3 wheeler. You can see the Bangkok having or Thailand having 58%, and then Vietnam almost 93% of the 2 and 3 wheelers. So because maybe I think there is an issue of the first and last mile connectivity in public transport system. That's what maybe the people, because of the economic aspiration, also they choose to have this kind of, personalized powered two-wheeler motorcycle to go, to meet that mobility need. Then the issue is that while we are trying to tackle this decarbonization issue, we really need to look at the structure of the transport and then that one. So coming to the, this share of the active mobility, it has really got more prominence after this COVID-19, and then it also carried the substantial share of the the passenger travel in the cities, and then for the short travel, maybe up to 2 kilometers. If I think we have really the good infrastructure and the facility for the cycling, walking, and then other mode of active mobility, actually this is really very important issue. You see some picture from, this is one from the Australia, this one England, and then Indonesia. And that is really the interesting case in England now. I think they have established this new active travel England, which actually try to promote the active or the cycling or the wheeling in the city. And their aim is to, about 50% of the city's short travel to be by active travel. This is really the encouraging development we see in UK. But in Thailand also, I think we have seen in Bangkok and some cycling, exclusive cycling lane or walking area, I think being promoted now. So just talking about the sustainability and the decarbonization, I think basically sustainability, I think basically we need to have how I think we provide the public transport system that meets the basic needs of the safety, affordability, efficiency, and then limits emission and waste. But there are very different concepts of the use of renewable and reuse and recycle. And then the transport policies, when you make the policy, I think it should be based on the not only environmental sustainability, but economic sustainability as well as the social inclusiveness. So I think that the decarbonization is a part of the environmental sustainability, but it's more focused on the reducing emission, actually maybe the directly aligned to the Paris Agreement. So in terms of the assessing the sustainability of the urban mobility at its cap, actually we are using this 10 indicator based the sustainable urban transport index. And then the idea is to actually this all includes the economic, environmental, as well as the social dimension. Just like you see the 9 and 10 indicator, that is air quality and greenhouse gas emission. You have a more share of the public transport, traffic fatality, affordability, and then the quality and reliability. These are some of the important indicators. And by assessing what is the situation, and we can try to improve which are the weak indicators, and then improve overall sustainability of the public transport system. Actually, in Bangkok, we did the study in 2020. The study actually showed that really, I think the Thailand as well as Bangkok also is really very poor on the safety record. Actually, Maybe you are all aware of that. And then greenhouse gas emission also was high. And then even though I think there are so much efforts in improving public transport, actually, well, all the network of the subway and the metro is complete, I think maybe we would see the increase in more share of the active transport. But still, I think maybe it's a cultural element in Thailand and Bangkok that people still try to use public, personal car, even though there is a lot of traffic jam. I think maybe there is we need to work to change this behavior by improving the quality and the reliability of the public transport system. We have done this analysis in the many Asia Pacific cities, and actually the last year we produced this tracking sustainable mobility in Asia Pacific city, and it includes the analysis of the 25 cities. And this is actually available from the ISCAP website. And then now coming back to the decarbonization, I mentioned earlier that countries actually submit this nationally determined contribution to the UNFCCC. And if you analyze these the policies which have been submitted to UNFCCC, and we see that electric mobility and use of the renewable energy like alternative fuels, biofuels, LPG, CNG, and the improvement of the public transport is the three topmost priority. And then you can see this yellow line. I think that is from the Southeast Asian cities. And then looking again, actually, by the modern sectors, I think there are many policies focused on the passenger transport. You can see here on the blue, and then urban transport. And then there are some policy related to walking, cycling, and inland waterways and shipping. Still, the aviation, maybe we need to work really more towards the decarbonization. Now, I think there is the emergence of the electric vehicle, and then when we go to the Asia Pacific, there is a lot of interest, but I think that there are a few obstacles as well. And then the current scenario is about 13% of the global fleet is electric. And then in Asia Pacific region, actually, China actually is leading with the global new energy vehicle share of 58%. And then there is, from year to year, 82% growth from 2021 to 2022. And then some other Asia cities, actually the Japan, Korea, even Thailand has really good policy on the electric mobility, which I'll come later. And then another important, actually, I saw on the earlier slide, presentation slide, I think intersectoral collaboration actually is really important. And then for the decarbonization of the transport sector, energy is really important. We need to have a renewable energy. And this is just showing the carbon grid factor of some of the Asian countries. Just you can see the Nepal and Bhutan on the top of there, I think almost having zero grid factor because their energy is renewable, I think mostly coming from the hydroelectricity. But even the Laos, Cambodia, I think they have, again, the potential to increase the renewable share because of the hydroelectricity. And for Thailand, we see around maybe 0.35 carbon factor. I'll come more detail on the Thailand later. And while looking at the decarbonization of the transport sector, I think that very popular approach actually is the avoid, shift, and improve. I think there are so many research and the outcome based on this one. In terms of the avoid, I think we need to try to reduce the travel, and then that can be done at I think earlier we heard about the smart cities and future planning. Maybe that is kind of maybe the compact city planning. Based on the the 15-minute city, and try to discourage private mode and as well as the teleworking that has been become very popular after the COVID-19 and use of the ICT. Shifting to the public transport system, either BRT, metro, or buses, and use of non-motorized mode, and trying to use the efficient mode, and then as well as the car sharing. And improving that is more on the technology side, improving energy efficiency of the public transport system, electric mobility, alternate fuels, and innovation. actually, these all the policy and strategy are really very highlighted on the UNEP emission gap report in 2022, as well as some of the in the path to zero vision for decarbonization of transport prepared by the Council for Decarbonization of Transport in Asia. Actually, we did the modeling exercise back in 2021. Like earlier, we heard about the modeling or scenario analysis of the air transport sector in Japan. So this was for the Asia Pacific region. And then we look at the 6 scenarios, reduction, transport reduction, mass transit scenario, as well as the car sharing, energy efficiency improvement, as well as the electric mobility. What the analysis showed is that actually the electric mobility as well as the energy efficiency improvement scenario, these are really the promising scenario as far as 72% of the GHG reduction possible by 2050, and in energy efficiency 66%. But another important aspect is that these both scenarios are really technology dependent, and then it needs really the upfront investment to apply those scenarios, and then again depends on the technical capacity of the countries as well. So I just put this slide to show what is the situation of the commitment to the decarbonization or the reducing GHG emission in Asia in the Southeast Asian country. Thailand has a 20% conditional and 25% unconditional and 25 conditional. Brunei 20%. Laos, I think that they want to develop BRT, NMT. Indonesia is 26%, Malaysia 35%, and Vietnam 8% GHG reduction by 2030. And we have actually implemented one project on escalating transition to electric mobility for the public transport sector, and extended policy support to some of the countries, including Thailand, Nepal. Thailand, actually, we assessed what would be the emission saving from if all the public transport in Bangkok, the buses in Bangkok got changed to the electric, and then scenario is really promising. Nepal, Laos, Cambodia, and Fiji and Georgia are other public transport, other countries supported, and where I think we are extending support to develop national policy on the electric mobility. And then we have actually launched this Asia Pacific Initiative on electric mobility, try to extend policy support to the country, as well as the strengthening collaboration with the EV stakeholder, including private sector. And then we have also developed a policy-oriented reports, that is the EV guideline and case study. And I mentioned earlier that China is leading. Actually, some of the cities in China are running public transport, which are 100% electric. And then we are currently extending policy support to Sri Lanka to develop a national policy. So these are actually some of the report coming out of that project, electric mobility. So study and report on transition to electric mobility in Thailand. And then another important one is electric mobility in public transport, or guidebook for Asia Pacific country. If the Asia Pacific, any country want to develop national policy, it actually provides step-by-step guidance, and including some analysis of technology and the costing model as well. So here, other two are example from the China about the promotion of the policy in China. So this coming back to the Thailand, this is in the transport sector. Actually, the Thailand has a really very ambitious goal of becoming the global production and supplier hub of electric vehicle and automatic parts. And then goal for 2035 is Thailand to 100% zero emission vehicle sale by 2030. But looking at the policy, actually, it looks like I think need to be more focused on the public transport and the integration of the public transport. Energy also, Thailand has a share of the renewable energy has reached 16%, but there is actually excellent opportunity to shift to the renewable. like the solar, hydro, or wind power in Thailand. Yeah. And finally, my concluding remarks, actually, while we try to develop the policies related to enhance overall sustainability and the decarbonization of the transport sector, actually, we need to look at the structure of the transport and then look at how we can avoid, shift, and improve this public transport system to the sustainable mode. So in sustainability, actually, not only focusing on environmental dimension, but we need to look at the economic affordability as well as the social inclusiveness. And in the at least on the cities, try to use more public transport, try to improve the more share of the public transport, discourage private mode. And as I mentioned earlier, freight transport is really the difficult sector, but we should really work more toward how we can decarbonize or improve sustainability of the freight transport. On decarbonization, so electric mobility has a potential as the modeling has shown, and there is a discussion of the hydrogen fuel also. We heard earlier on the air transport sector, actually hydrogen, or I think the aviation sustainable fuel being researched. And then we need to use actually renewable energy in transport, and then enhancing efficiency of the transport operation. As stated earlier also, I think we really need a cross-sectoral collaboration to achieve sustainability and the decarbonization of the transport sector, like the urban, energy, environment, and finance sector. And we also need global initiative, alliances, and the collaboration with the private sector, so that we could learn from each other about the good policies. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the time. And I have given some links to some of the studies and reports we have produced. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Madan Rekme of UNSCAP. You have given a very resourceful paper there, and we have seen that you provided us with a lot of links to your paper and publications. I think this is very important for us to catch up and perhaps look into some of these options. Of course, we are not shocked by the number of your SUTI evaluation that Bangkok, but Thailand as a country has a very bad score on transport accident fatality.
Yeah.
It has been a big issue for us since I was young, and still haven't been able to solve any of that yet. And I'm not sure if we move into e-mobility, it will get worse or better. Let's see how that will go.
Yeah.
But this is one of our problems. But let me turn to our participant in the room, or anyone who is online who have some question to raise with our speaker. Please raise your hand, either in Thai, in English, or in Japanese. In Japanese, Professor Fukuda will help me. มีไหมครับ? Yes.
So we have 2 minutes for question and answer. So we have the
Dr. Nuwong and then Tomita-san.
Hi, my name is Nuong from ATRANS Research Committee. So thanks very much for all the insightful presentation. My question is actually to Akihiro-san regarding the SAF and also the plan in Japanese aviation. I'm just wondering, when you asking presentation about all the scenario, and then you are focusing with the T2 and F3, right? You comment with also the SAF. I have 2 questions. Is Japanese also committed to cost share for both international and domestic flight? And secondly,
recording in progress.
When you assess it with the feedstock, are you also planning to physically producing SAF, or you are following book and claim method in the transition period? Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, you are asking about the Japanese government is committed to the internationally and domestically CO2 reduction. Yeah, the answer is yes. Yeah, okay. And regarding SAF, okay, SAF. Sorry, can you? I would like to show the last presentation. Can I? Do you show the last page of my presentation? Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is a roadmap of SAF. Please show the. Please look at the last page. And yeah, as you said, we have a kind of two major important points. One is 2030, and second is 2035. This is, as you mentioned, kind of a traditional period. And to 2030, now it's SAF DAC is introduced. And 2035, LH2, it's a more hydrogenic fuel is introduced. So now we are making this kind of roadmap, and we try to solve the SAF issue. Did I answer the question?
So basically, you are planning to physically producing SAF in Japan.
Okay. Both physically and import. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also an important option.
Thank you.
We have last.
Okay, we have a hand raised at the back of the room. Please grab the microphone somewhere near you.
Hi everyone, so my name is Nam. I come from University in Da Nang City in Vietnam, and I would like to give a question to Professor MORIMOTO. Yeah, in your presentation you mentioned about the TOD approach for the rail transit system, and as far as I know, in Japan is one of the leading country for applying that TOD approach, and also Thailand too, because last night I went to Siam Station, and I think that Siam Station is one of the good example for the TOD. And come back to my country, we have a long process for developing the rail transit system. And right now, some already operate and some still ongoing. And my question is, you can share your experience to apply that TOD approach for the rail transit system in Vietnam, because now some rail lines they built in the urban area with the density population, and I think that is the challenge to build the TOD. Yeah, and you can share your experience and to help to develop the TOD as a model in Vietnam with your experience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your questions. 2 weeks ago, I went to the Netherlands, your cities, and to attend the international conference of the city plannings. And your question regarding about the transit-oriented development. First of all, you clearly understand there is two kinds of the transit-oriented development policies and strategies. In case of Japan, they're starting from the almost 100 years ago. Based on the private railway companies making these railway stations in the land use development, and then provide these residential area along the stations. And that's why the Tokyo metropolitan areas is so making the public transportation network nowadays. That is one strategy. Another strategy is starting from the United States almost 30 years ago is the transit development, and maybe the Peter Newman's around the stations. And I went to your country, your cities, both of them is required your cities. That is based on the city plannings, and then decided is so. How can I say, is development plans is all over the cities. And also you need is development around the stations and making the good public transportations. For example, the LRT, the BRT is a rapid transit system is required. especially to cope with motorizations. Many people are so very lucky and lovely to using the private cars to cope with motorization. Just thinking about it, the two strategies, land use and transportation. That is my answer.
Thank you, Professor. Professor จำนงครับ
Yes, this is not question. It's just my comment. In this session, we talk a lot about the battery electric vehicle and electric vehicles. I would like to remind all the audience here that don't mislead about the electric vehicle view, whether it can reduce carbon dioxide emission or not. It may or may not. It depends on the source of primary energy used for electricity generation. Actually, the electric vehicle throughout the world driven by air pollution problem to resolve about the PM10 and PM2.5, but not about decarbonization. However, this technology can help for reduce carbon dioxide emission in the case that the primary energy used for produce electricity come from non-fossil technology. For example, maybe come from nuclear or renewable technology. But however, from my study, unfortunately, if you look back the history of energy, primary energy consumption in this world, back for 100 years up to now, the share of fossil energy resources do not change at all. It share about 80%. And the key point for electricity generation is it depends on what is the percent of the primary energy share for electricity generation. For the country which has the percentage of primary energy generation come from coal, if the coal share is greater than 75% of the share, then actually, if you convert from ICE engine to electric car, then you will produce more greenhouse gas, not less, it increase more. However, if the primary energy that come from coal less than 75%, from the in case of Thailand, allow 60% come from natural gas. Then in that case, if we change from hydrocarbon fuels to be electric fuels, then it will be help reduce carbon dioxide emission. So this must be keep in mind that if we move to the electric vehicle, then you have to go further where your primary energy come from. You have to change the energy policy supply for electricity generation as well. Thank you very much. This is my comment.
Thank you, Professor Jamnong. I think this leads to another question for you. I know not everyone cannot fit in the same shirt or policy framework in terms of risk reduction. Would you think the cities that are prone to perhaps tsunami and other floods and issues, would they be able to rely on electric vehicle? But for Thailand, I think we are a bit worried. First, our road sometimes flood, has a lot of flood, and it's not just not just one foot flood. It's 1 meter's flood. That can be a problem. But from your perspective, if we all move into electric vehicle or electric mobility as such, would the risk be higher or lower?
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for your question. Then I think that we should have a different strategy in a rural area and so real big city center. Then I think for example, Bangkok or Tokyo, then already we invested so many infrastructure. Then we have to prevent. Then for example, in Tokyo, that we have many metros. Then sometimes also metro has a risk the flooding, but we have to prevent. But in the rural area, then Morimoto Sensei said already that in Japan that we have the depopulation situation. Then maybe how can I say that we gave up to maintenance some not main road, but local road or maybe local railway that maybe Japanese railway company that want to give up, maybe I think. But that is really difficult to discuss. But we have to discuss such a selection in the rural area. But in the city center, then we have to prevent against the flooding or then also the high tide in Tokyo, especially. Yeah. Thank you very much.
And I think we are running out of time, but one burning question from myself: you look into the land use issue of your Kasenuma city that you mentioned that has a lot of problem after the Tohoku incident. I think this is very important for the academic circle, but more important than the academic circle is, of course, to translate all those knowledges into policy framework. And we have some policy maker sitting in the room. Do you have any recommendation for that? Of course, policy maker and academic thinkers are not the same group of people. Only once in a while we have a esteemed political leader sitting in the same room with us. So maybe you can have some remarks for honorable member of parliament with us here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Then actually, for example, after the Tohoku disaster, then I showed some example built a seawall. But the Japanese government said that non-inhabit the area after the tsunami. But also the Japanese government built seawall. Then already no people live there. But also built a seawall. Then after that, also another problem. Then there is flooding within the seawall that caused by seawall. That is a really difficult problem. Then maybe we needed time to discuss how we prevent or reconstruct the new town in the area. But at the time, the government had to rebuild so quickly. Then, but especially in the rural area, then we will lose the population. Then we have to change mind, then rebuild, and also maybe the urban or town planning in the near future, I think.
Thank you very much. That's a very thoughtful comment from you. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all our speakers, Professor Morimoto, Professor ICHINOSE, and Mr. Tomita, and also Dr. Madan Rekmi from UNESCAP who joined us from online. And thank all the participants in the room and on our participants who joined from the internet. I think we have a very good session this morning. And I wouldn't prolong this wait for too long because we are eager for our lunch break now. But of course, once you're in Thailand, you should enjoy Thai food, but not just in the hotel. Just walk outside. You have excellent street food and excellent tropical fruits and some durian. If you can try some durian for our international visitors. Thank you very much for joining us today. Hope to see you again soon. And of course, in 4 years' time, we will celebrate 20 years ATRANS. Please come back and join us and see how different Bangkok and Thailand, and of course, our Eastern Economic Corridor under the leadership of Dr. Jula Sukhamanop, who presented us this morning. Let's see how Thailand move forward. And let's see what we can learn from our international thinkers, philosophers, practitioners. And of course, we will move forward. In Thailand, normally, before we move, we think a lot, have a lot of thinking. But once we make a move, as normal to Thai tradition, we move very fast. I think you probably know that we are moving very fast into the EV sector. But whether that will be good or not, we have to see. And hopefully we will still rely on a lot of input, a lot of comments, a lot of lessons learned from our international member and our participants. Thank you very much. I will conclude this morning's session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for our distinguished speaker and our moderator. And
so, could you stay on the stage, please? Because next we will give a token of presentation. So, could you wait a minute?
Please stay Professor? On the stage. Yeah.
Yes. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Jula Sukhamanop, the chairperson of ATRANS, to give a token of appreciation for our esteemed speaker and moderator, please. Thank you. So the first one, I would like to invite Professor MORIMOTO, please.
The second honorable speaker, I would like to invite Dr. ICHINOSE.